need to come back and play with a couple other tools and share and care. Now we stop. So let's just go ahead and get started. In terms of the agenda for today, we're actually going to, I don't know if more likely everyone has not been to a prior webinar of mine. So it's going to be a things that you don't know about Denice, and I'll do a brief overview in terms of my past experience. I'm going to look at the challenge in terms of the fact that students may not necessarily be coming into college with the necessary digital literacy, much less digital information literacy. We're going to touch on the ethics of AI, not from a broad sense, but really from the student's perspective, and then look at some different ways that students can utilize AI as they matriculate through college. And then move to sharing and caring, just playing around with some different tools and demoing some things so that, don't use that tool, don't do that, and other things. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask those in the chat. I know Devin will keep me abreast of what the questions y'all have. All right, so my background, I'm a fourth career librarian in that I have a bachelor's and a master's in electrical engineering from Georgia Tech, and worked initially in industry and software development, testing and automation, and technical support, and then went on to get an associate's in culinary arts, and worked did my externship at Epcot and worked overseas in Germany for a couple of years before coming back to work in academia as a math and learning lab coordinator. Once I was deciding to go back to school and get my PhD, Blackboard reached out to me. So worked for Blackboard as an integration, I forget, it was specialist, the exact term. You know, when you do so much, you forget the exact titles that you had, unless you're looking at your resume. But then after my position was eliminated at Blackboard, went back to school and got my MLIS, started thinking about what I want to do until I retired. And my punishment growing up was getting my library card taken away. But one of the things that I also realized is the fact that I've taught every single level except for elementary here in the US. I've taught at IUPUI, which will now be called IU Indianapolis, math, as well as for the education department. And then here at Wake Forest, I've taught two different information literacy courses. I also taught at Ivy Tech Community College in Indiana, as well as at, I won't say I taught some workshops at Brevard Community College, but I did. But and then there was a brief moment that I really thought I wanted to teach math in K through 12, where I did my student teaching at a high school and actually taught at a charter school, a middle school for all boys. So in terms of why this particular topic interests me, I've been on both sides. I've been the instructor endeavoring to demystify those esoteric topics in math, as well as in information literacy. But I've also been the student from the 4 degrees I've earned thus far, endeavoring to learn those esoteric topics while balancing multiple priorities. So when we talk about the challenge, one of the things I just want to make sure everyone is aware, there has been a decline in terms of school media specialists who are librarians in K through 12. So like your librarian at an elementary school, at a middle school, at a high school, literally declined 27.55% between 2006 and 2019. If you look at the state standards for information literacy as well as for computer literacy, those vary so widely state to state. And remember, those are also aspirational. This is what we want to do. Do we do it? Maybe. So in the notes, I included just 2 links to 2 separate state standards to give you an idea of how much it varies. So really the questions to ask is, what digital information literacy do students enter college with? Actually, what digital literacy just keep it more generic, do students enter college with? So just because we have students who are used to using their smartphone as instructors, we cannot assume that they're comfortable utilizing different software applications, more or less with different databases with different interfaces. So from the instruction perspective, if you're utilizing an AI tool or any particular type of software application in your course, you want to make sure that you scaffold the instruction. Keeping in mind that a student may not necessarily feel comfortable utilizing technology. So in K through 12, they have the I do, where the instructor demonstrates how to use the tool. We do, where you give an opportunity for students to utilize the tool in the classroom. And then you do, where you have a scaffolded assignment to give them the opportunity to utilize the tool. And you don't want to take it immediately to high stakes, like half of your grade is depending on you using this tool you've never used before. Same way you scaffold the instruction, scaffold the assignments. So students have multiple opportunities to actually play with whatever you're introducing. So, but it can't be one and done. I showed you how to use it, go and do it. A lot of times if you don't provide that structure or that place to make mistakes with you there as support to help, that's literally setting up the students to fail, especially those students who technology isn't necessarily their strong suit. So when we talk about considering the ethical implications behind AI, there's different articles, et cetera, but in the notes, I have a link to UNESCO's The Ethics of AI, which goes in depth in terms of how we as a whole, as a society, as individuals really want to consider it. But now I'm switching to the student perspective. So as a student, you really want to ask yourself, what does your instructor allow in the classroom? Does the instructor say you are not allowed to use AI? Don't even think about it. Don't even look at it. Don't touch it. Don't use it. Does your instructor say you can use an AI on these specific assignments or these specific ways, but you need to give attribution to it, cite it? Then you want to pay particular attention. Or is your instructor one's like, hey, we're going to be using AI any point in time. Let's go for break. So, but in those cases, make sure you as a student follow the lead of your instructor, because here's the deal. In college, every single college has a student code of conduct policy. So if you are caught using AI when your instructor has told you not to, it could be as minimal as a 0 on a particular assignment, to a failing grade into a course, to as far as suspension or expulsion, just depending on how far the instructor wants to take it. So just be sure that you've read the syllabi or the syllabus very thoroughly to understand how the instructor allows AI in their classroom. So in terms of how you can utilize AI as a student, you can almost use it for anything. So I've been playing around with different tools. So you can use AI to plan your entire semester, or even plan your semester month by month. You can use AI to edit an essay to help you to understand a complex topic, to get help with a particular math problem, even advice, brainstorming problems, et cetera, et cetera. There are AI tools out there that can do a variety of different things. So like one I was playing with last week is I just gave it some text and it created a video. Now, was that video good, accurate? No. Was the video, would I consider it, aesthetically pleasing to the eye? No, but it did created a video just from text in less than 5 minutes. So just be aware there's a variety of different AI tools out there that can do different things. But here's the thing you want to consider. A lot of AI tools that are out there are free, but when they're free, you are the product. In terms of whatever clicks you make, whatever information you provide, how you search, how you're using it. For example, the Congressional Research Service has a detailed report that was presented last year on online consumer data collection. The most interesting thing for me is that as a librarian here at Wake, any student, faculty, or researcher has access to the Financial Times. And I subscribe to different newsletters. So one particular newsletter all of a sudden has popped up and it's like, you can opt out of seeing online interest ads from Facebook and other participating countries. And being me, I opt out of everything. I do. You don't need to know about me. I don't want a customized ad. But it was interesting to me to see that there was 119 different companies that were accessing different data just from me being online. That I could opt out of, and they just so happened to have a way that I could opt out of all of them versus having to click on each one. And I had already opted out of most except for 19. So just be sure that you're aware of that you do read those pesky privacy policies, as well as forget the other one off the top of my head that most applications usually have. Make sure you read the small print and understand how your data is being stored as well as how it's being utilized. So I don't like to talk all that long. I prefer to just to get in and start demoing different tools. So these are some that I've already set up, just to show you how they work and really explain generative AI. So you understand what it does, how it works, and what you should not be using it for. However, just to let you know, there are AI tools out there, what I have in pink for almost everything. So from content creation, from creating two-dimensional, pictures, three-dimensional objects, avatars, videos, proofing, checking your spelling and grammar, note-taking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in the notes pages, I have some links to different apps that you can try in each of those different areas, as well as have what you would need to do to start playing with any of these tools. So like, for instance, ChatGPT, you need an email address as well as a cell phone number. No, they won't allow you to use Google Voice. I tried. It will actually need to be a cell phone number, somebody's. But no, probably yours, because I think it has you go ahead and, you enter your cell phone number, verify it, all that kind of good stuff. But I do also include my contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Email is going to probably be the best way to get a hold of me. I do try to, when I've done some webinars, to include a link to the presentation or the video on my LinkedIn profile. You can feel free to call me. I don't answer the phone as often because there's sometimes I work from home, sometimes I work in the office, and sometimes I work at Wake downtown. So it just all depends. But I do return voicemails as well. So let's stop and go ahead and get started and play. Now you'll see how crazy my schedule is.
Denice, we had one question in the chat. Is the decline in school media specialists just for North Carolina, or is that national?
National. That's taken from the National Education, National Center Education Statistics. But yeah, but you can go, I do have a link to that data in the notes pages of the presentation. So you can go to that, and I'm thinking it does break down by state, but don't quote me on that. But that link takes you directly to the table from the National Center for Education Statistics. Any other questions? All right. So one of the questions that I asked, okay, so let's talk generative AI. A lot of people believe that you can do almost anything in ChatGPT without understanding that it's a language model, meaning to say that it's literally telling you what it thinks you want to hear, what you want to know. From an accuracy standpoint, I wouldn't necessarily use it for a STEM assignment, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Because it's literally how ChatGPT works as a language model, was built by web crawling. And the thing you have to understand, it operates similar to Google and Google Scholar. But for a lot of technical, scientific STEM research, that's usually behind a paywall. In Europe, there's a lot of focus for open science, but that has not spread fully throughout the United States. So like there's a lot of the medical research that's behind a paywall. So you just want to make sure that whatever questions that you're asking, that any tool that you use, that you can track it back to the source. So, but there are different things that it can do for you. Just don't be doing, just research isn't necessarily one of them. Unless you have a paid version with the access to, I forget what module is, but I don't have the paid version, so I can give you specifics on that. So all I did was ask ChatGPT, can I upload 3 different syllabi and have ChatGPT create a list of due dates from each course? It said that it could, just need to paste the information in to consolidate the list of due dates for me. But here's the funny part, asked that same question last week and it said, no, I'm a language model, can't do that. I'll deep dive on that later. Ask the same question of Google Bard. Can I upload 3 different syllabi and have Google Bard create a list of due dates from each course? Said yes, you can upload 3 different syllabi, have Google Bard create a list, and it gave me instructions on how I could do that using Google Drive or Dropbox, or send the email as a syllabi as an email attachment. Ask the same question of Perplexity.ai. Can I upload 3 different syllabi? And it was like, no, it's not a tool to create a list of syllabi. Gave me some instructions of other things that I can use. Ask the same question of Bing, Microsoft Bing. But here's the fun part. When I use Microsoft Bing on Google Chrome, it acts as if it was a search engine. So it did show me, 3 different ways, and all of a sudden it mentioned syllabary. But if I rolled over to Microsoft Edge and utilized and did the same, asked the same question, can I upload 3 syllabi and have Bing create a list of due dates? It let me know, you can manually input the due dates and I can help you organize it. And then it told me this is how you need to format in order for me to do it. So you can see the difference between each of these generative AI tools, and some tools with additional, a little bit more computational difference. Me and words all of a sudden on a Tuesday afternoon are like, I hate you. But you can see that there's differences between the tools that you use. So here's the one thing I want everyone to understand, just for me showing you these 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I forgot. ChatSonic. ChatSonic is another tool I've been playing with by WriteSonic. So I asked, can I upload 3 different syllabi and have ChatSonic create a list of due dates from each course? It said yes. ChatSonic can help you create a list of due dates from each course. Simply provide the syllabi, specify what information you want to extract, such as assignment names, due dates, or relevant details. ChatSonic can then analyze the syllabi and generate a consolidated list of due dates for your convenience. So what I want you to realize is that there's not a single tool that you can use for everything. Just like a hammer can't be used to unscrew a light bulb, you want to make sure that you're using the right tool for the right purpose. And the funniest thing is, you go back, did want to show you Syllabuddy, because I was like, what? So with Syllabuddy, you can upload your syllabus and start to get organized. And here's the funny thing about it. So I'm going to use the syllabus that it had on hand to play with, the sample syllabus, just to show you how it works. It does take a little bit of work, but you can upload the syllabus. It'll start to process it and then pull out what it thinks are dates. So you can literally go through the syllabus and decide what dates you want to identify, and then upload it into Google Calendar or into Microsoft Outlook. So that's what I mean when I say there are certain tools that you want to use that are going to help you to get that'll be better for your overall purpose. Because it's really more than just extracting the dates. You usually do want them on some type of calendar to be able to track. And then, how much time you add to each calendar invite to say, for homework, notify me 5 days ahead. There's probably another tool that will allow you to automatically add that, or will suss it out. So remember, find the right tool to do what you need. I see a lot of thoughts. Okay. Oh, are they not needed? Nobody filling the position. There are a variety of different reasons why there's a decline in school specialists. There are some school districts that have gotten rid of school media specialists. Like when I was living in Tampa, I forget which county it was nearby. It was Pasco, Hernando, but they literally got rid of every single school media specialist. There's some school districts that have, gotten rid of the libraries in a particular school, or have not necessarily been able to fund it. So there are a variety of different reasons why there is the decline, but the issue is that you don't have students in every single school getting the same instruction. And there's even one article that I was reading that surveyed school media specialists to ask the question, do you have access to databases? And if you do have access to databases, do you teach them to your students? And even in that case, where certain school media specialists had access to databases, not all of them were necessarily teaching students how to use it. And think about pulling together a search string. It's a science in and of itself, not to say that it's difficult, but when you're dealing with Boolean logic, as well as modifiers, truncation, phrase searching, et cetera, it takes some practice to get used to it. So again, it's another one of those, it's not one and done that you talk to a student and say, this is how you develop your search string, and they can automatically do it. It's going to take some practice. I always think I'm going to take more time, and then it's like, no, Denise, you haven't taken that much time. So one of the other things I want to show you are a couple of different research tools that I use for research. And actually, blah, blah. There we are. Yeah.
We have one question that came in from Blanca asking, does Syllabi or any of these, can any of these tools check for accessibility when helping you build out syllabi?
So check for accessibility in the sense of, does are the syllabi themselves accessible, or does the instructor utilize accessibility in their course? I need some additional information on that one.
Let's see.
Are the tools themselves accessible friendly?
My guess is it would be, is it checking to see if the document that you're creating is accessible? But Blanca, if you want to reply to your question, okay.
The tool itself?
Yes, accessibility friendly. Okay.
Now, that's one thing that I have not necessarily tested, in the sense of going to like, what is the website? It's like web WCB, that you can put in the URL of a website and have it check the accessibility of the website. That's a, thank you, Wave. Haha, I love you. That's the one thing I haven't done for each of these. So now let me make that note for that, for me to do that. It just has an aside to play with. But I would definitely suggest just taking each of the tools over to Wave, because that'll actually, there are several different websites, I think, because WebAIM, thank you, Holly. WebAIM is another one. But probably one of the most difficulties would be with a screen reader. Because I'm thinking, just in looking at Perplexity, probably not. But rather than me assume, definitely checked, my suggestion would be to take it through one of those websites, each of the URLs, just to double check to see. Does that answer your question, Blanca? Ooh, and Corrine actually even mentioned that there's an SA11Y or Sally browser extension. Sorry, I've been reading way too much, and I have strabismus where one eye, my left eye goes left, my right eye goes right. So sometimes even for me looking, it's like, no, you can't see that, Denise. No, you cannot. You can't. Especially if they're moving and grooving. All right. So one of the tools that we've adopted here at Wake Forest is Scite. Just to give you a sense of what Scite actually does, scite.ai, you can use it to research or find research articles, or like get a general overview of topics for a particular area. And let me close a couple of things, because I'm seeing how things are going a little bit slow. So with Scite, you can literally just search. So if I want to look at information literacy for engineering, I can type a phrase, I can use Boolean logic. It'll first give you both citation statements and papers all at one, but I like separating them. So if I look at citation statements, it's going to look for that text. Let me take a step back. So Scite actually goes through and analyzes the full text of articles versus just the abstracts. And from that full text, it'll pull out where the citations are occurring. So like for an article, all the citations occurring in the introduction and the methods section, in the conclusion, discussion, where. And then we'll basically show that to you, like where, so you find the information, and then it actually categorizes the citations if it has the full text. To say that the citation is mentioning where they just said, hey, this is research by XYZ person, supporting, yes, I agree with the research that XYZ did. Contrasting, that research, no, just no. And then there's a lot of other metadata that Scite can actually utilize that you can help with regards to research. So in this case with citation statements, you can read little snippets from different articles, just to give you an idea of information literacy and engineering. You can click on papers to get a list of papers that match that particular search. You can go back to citation statements, one of the things that I love to do, and click on analyze search results. And it'll give you an overview of all the different articles that it's found. So in this case, it said Scite identified 901 publications on the topic, lists the most highly cited, the most supported paper, gives you a visual of the particular topic published over time, who has the most work, who has the most highly cited work, the institutions. So there's different ways that you can utilize the information in terms of if you're thinking about going to graduate school, finding a professor who's doing research in a particular area. If you're doing research, finding a collaborator, or if you're doing a lit review, finding articles for you to review. And there are different features with Scite. So like if you wrote a paper and you want to see if there are any of the resources that you used in the paper have been retracted, you can actually use the reference check. But one of the new things about Scite is Scite actually has a research assistant. So if I wanted to ask, oh, I saw Andrea's question. Is there a way to find out what these AI tools search? How does this compare to Web of Science? So it depends. Yes and no. Like for ChatGPT, they're really hush-hush in terms of what they're searching. With all the other tools, they'll tell you what they're searching. One of the neat things with Perplexity is that you can actually change how you're searching. So at first, Perplexity is searching both the web as well as it's searching all resources. So it's web crawling, it's searching academic resources, YouTube videos, et cetera, et cetera. But let me head back over to you. That's when I went. Yeah. So like for Perplexity, you can change where you're searching in terms of oh, I don't want to ask a follow-up. Let me do a new thread. So you can change the focus and search the entire internet. You can search academic published papers. You can help it for writing to generate text, but you can change up where you're searching. You can search YouTube. You can also search Reddit. With Google Bard, it's typically searching the web. Oh, and some people are providing information. But it really depends on the particular tool in terms of how it's searching what it's using. Is it a learning language model that is it, pulling information from a learning language model? Is it actively searching the web at that moment? So that may vary. In terms of how it compares to Web of Science, you always have to remember that Web of Science is curating journals by their own index. So you have to have a certain score, lack of a better word, with Web of Science in order to be included in its index. And Web of Science is more of a citation database. So you can search Web of Science and find articles, but mainly those articles are searching, how they're being searched is it's searching the metadata and the abstract versus the full text of the article. There's certain things in Web of Science that are search full text, but not all. Like Scite, it's searching both metadata, but primarily a lot of the full text of different articles. Because over time, they've basically have different agreements with different publishers. Like I think they have an agreement with Nature. for all of their journal articles. So it all depends. So one of the things with Web of Science, you also have to realize if it's a new field, Web of Science just by its own index more than likely will not include research on, especially new journals that are out. So you want to use a different tool if your area of research is, I would say, less than 5 or 3 years old. So I always say, make sure that the particulars around whatever tool that you're using, to better inform when to use it and why. Does that help with your question, Andrea? All right, and Webforce does have an enterprise license for Scite. Yeah, for Scite, there's a fee as an individual that you could pay, or there's a fee as an institution or group. But one of the free things about Scite is the browser extension. So yeah, you can purchase as an individual, or you can do a trial. Because we did a trial with Scite. If I'm mistaken, it covered February to June. Hold on. Quick search. We did our Scite trial last year, and it went from February to May 11th. And then I also had scheduled a couple of live demos as well as listed. But even some of the Scite functionality, like Scite Assistant wasn't there when we tried it out last year. That's something that's just been added this year. So you can trial Scite for your particular university or college, and the funding for it, if you're a member of a particular group, and I forget what the group is off the top of my head, you even can get additional discounts on Scite. So definitely reach out to me if you have any other questions on that. But with the Scite Assistant, you can ask a specific question. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what question I want to ask. I'll just take one of the, how does the structure of a protein affect its function? So one of the things about Scite is actually, this has changed from, I would say, a couple of months ago. From a couple of months ago, it would just start searching, but now it shows you can view the searches, run to ground this response. You can view the publications consulted. But what it will do is actually come back. It's using the ChatGPT API to actually query the full text and to generate, and there's some other stuff they're doing to generate questions. They just had a webinar about it. Was it Tuesday of this week or what? No, it was Tuesday of last week. So you should be able to go to their YouTube channel to see how actually it works. But it's going to generate text to actually answer your questions, and it will have the inline citations back to the original sources. So one thing, whenever you're conducting research or you're trying to find something for academia, you want to make sure that you can trace that back to the original source. And Scite actually allows you to do that. So even if you look over on the right-hand side, there's a list of the references that it utilized to generate the description or the answer to the question. Also, you can tweak how many, the search itself, like if you wanted to use more than 10 references and different things of that nature. And this particular functionality, there's even like Scopus has an AI under beta that sort of kind of does this same thing. But there are more AI tools now that are actually doing, given a question, given a field, being able to give you a general overview to answer the question. Like another tool I love to use is Elicit. Although my heart is hurt because it used to be free, but now they're going to have a paid model, but they have a functionality. But it even says you can, use the old version at old.elicit.org. But one of the things that I like about Elicit is that you can, again, ask it any question. Let me log in real quick. Yes, I know. Okay, fine, sign in with Google, we're fine. But you can ask it any question. I'm gonna go with one of the already generated pre-question. What's the impact of creatine on cognition? And what Elicit will do is basically list for you actual papers, scholarly articles with a quick snippet to answer the question. And depending on the question that's asked, it may even have like a brief summary of the top 4 papers underneath the question. So in this particular case, it has cognitive effects of creatine, ethyl ether supplementation. Creatine seems to facilitate cognition on some tasks. And again, lists several different articles with a little snippet. And then over on the left-hand side, it has a summary of the top 4 papers. And you can even tweak the information that's shown here in the grid. You can add the abstract summary, you can add the intervention, outcomes measured, the number of participants, and even search for paper information. So Elicit is, again, one of those that touched my heart. Another AI tool that I love to use, especially for literature reviews, is Research Rabbit. Research Rabbit does require a login, but one of the fun things is you can add a collection of papers to Research Rabbit, and it'll generate additional papers. And let me actually make that a little bit larger. So you can see, I've used Research Rabbit a lot to help different people. It came out of beta in fall of 2021, because I showed my sister was getting her EDD and I showed her Research Rabbit last year, and she was like, "Why didn't you share this to me before? I had a class I could use it." I was like, "It just came out of beta." But like you can have different papers that you add to a collection, and then if you click on similar work, Research Rabbit will show you different articles that may be relevant for the research that you're doing. And you can literally go down the rabbit hole. So like I can click on Reflections, Enhancements of Medical Education to look at the abstract for that particular article. I can add it to the collection or see similar work to this particular article, or even look at all the references or all the citations. But it's a way that you can build additional articles for a literature review. So let me stop talking because I can show y'all tools for days. But what other questions have come in? Oh my God, Research Rabbit, yes, you can import from Zotero, you can export to Zotero with Research Rabbit. I love it. One of the things I've been playing with is you can, so say you have your research question, you can ask your research question on Elicit, and then take the articles that Elicit gives you, export it as a bib file, save it on your hard drive, and then import it into Research Rabbit to create your collection. I do that a lot. I will not even lie to you. But the neat thing with Research Rabbit is that everything opens up on the right-hand side. So think about going down the rabbit hole, but you can come back to the left, or if you've gone a little bit too far and you need to come back, you would just exit out to come back to your original work. So again, if you are looking for collaborators, if you're a student, you're looking for a professor to do research with in grad school, you can look at these authors or even look at the suggested authors. And you can filter the suggested authors by different ways. So say we wanted to change, oh, I forgot. Zoom out. So you can see in terms of who's actually usually conducting research with who just by the clusters that are actually built together. But again, similar work. If you want to find other things that are similar to what you've actually added to your collection, you can change that from a network to a timeline to get a feel for how far back the research goes or how recent it is. But Research Rabbit, I love. I'm not gonna lie to you. But if you are researching a topic that you're like, I'm not finding anything, so I see. And
We've had Oh, sorry. We had a question come in from Laura asking, what is the best site or tool for doing outlines to get you started on research?
There is a tool that I was playing with, but of course, I cannot remember its name. So send me an email. Because what you could do with this particular tool is just start typing, like give it one sentence, and then it will literally give you additional sentences. You can even use one of the AI language generators to ask it to give you an outline on a particular topic. Like I was playing with creating a syllabus for a course with ChatGPT. All I said was create a syllabus for a course looking at the intersection of AI, data science, and information literacy. So if you want an outline, there are tools that can actually help you write if you're ever stuck or give you different ideas. But you can also generate an outline using one of the AI generative tools. So like if you wanted to give me blah, blah, blah. Give me a topic that you want to create an outline for.
Any suggestions for topics? Let's say,
maybe you were doing something on African American literature, The Color Purple, or Lesson Before Dying.
Oh. Bam. Did that help?
Oh, okay. Yes, it does. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because there's one of the tools that I really love. It's an actual app as well as a browser extension, a Scholar C. So say you have an article and you want a summary of the article, you can do that using Scholar C. There are other tools depending on what browser you're using, like there's Summary as well as IRDL. So there are several tools to do like literally, it's like, what do you need? And like even using Scholar C, you can generate a PowerPoint from a particular article.
Oh, wow.
So when I tell you there are AI tools out there, they're doing some things, not to say that they're always accurate or may do it the way that you want it to do it, but it'll be, something you can utilize in a pinch.
we have a question from Alex asking, has anybody found if it's gotten better for book citations? I found it super powerful for therapy students I help, but it was tougher for humanities students, and so much of their work is in books/chapters and not articles when we input their Zotero bibs, my favorite feature. And I think that's one that's come up a bit, is like, how do these generative pre-transformers cite things?
I wouldn't use ChatGPT unless you're using the paid version that is searching academic articles. That's where I would go to, like, it all depends on what you're looking for. So are you looking for articles or are you looking for books?
Sorry. To clarify, the question was actually about Research Rabbit. It was a while back. I'm sorry.
Oh. Wait, so Research Rabbit, you can search it. There are two different things that Research Rabbit, you can sort of kind of ask it to search. So bam. So say I'm creating rolling all the way to the left, up to the left. Thank you. I love you. So say I'm adding a new collection. We're gonna call it testing. So you can, different ways that you can add papers, you can add it either by title, DMI, DOI, PMID, or keywords, or even do a Boolean search. And you can also upload papers using from BidText or RS. So like say I wanted to, give me a psychology topic. And lack of a better term, just gonna use information literacy for engineering. My brain is like, I hate you. So you can search biomedical and life science powered by PubMed, or you can search all subject areas by Semantic Scholar. I'll typically do all subject areas by Semantic Scholar, unless it's a definite medical topic that won't necessarily, doesn't have crossover interdisciplinary. And then you can literally scroll through and add different articles to the collection. So literally you can say, I want to add that one, I want to add this one. Modules of first year students, add that to the collection. Doop, doop, doop. Can add this one. And we're just going to go through and just click a couple more, just not even reading them, just click them. And then once you're done adding papers to collection, you click on the X in the upper left-hand corner, and then you can look at similar work. Click on similar work to find additional articles. So like there's integrating information into the engineering design process, information literacy landscapes, information literacy in education, workplace, and everyday contexts. Information literacy, what's about, partnership between engineering libraries, identifying information literacy skills for a successful transition from student to professional, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah. But in terms of sites, tools, educators helpful for navigating the different tools out there, the issue with that is that there's so many new tools that are being added day by day that keeping up with it would be fairly difficult. So literally I would suggest quickest way is doing a quick Google search, or if there's a tool that you have that you want to see, is there something similar out there? I'll usually use the related search with Google to find other similar tools. Yeah, because one of the things I've included in the notes are like a list of different tools for different things. So there's one from a website and one from a Forbes article that was just listing really cool AI tools. Because the way that I find out what's new and what's out there, there are specific people that I follow on Twitter, as well as different groups I follow on Twitter. I have friends in education in different areas, so we'll talk to each other on Facebook or on LinkedIn about different tools that we're finding out. There are also several different newsletters that I subscribe to, talking about new technology, emerging technology, and different things of that nature. And even one of the organizations that I'm in, American Society for Engineering Education, has like a daily newsletter Monday through Friday that may talk about innovations that are occurring with regards to engineering, but may also include some things on AI. So it's a matter of you want to start setting aside time to catch up with research, what's going on out there, as well as set aside time to play with the tools. Because there's some, like Insightful is so powerful.
Hey,
I've only scraped the surface.
I'm trying to finish up with this webinar, but I was calling you because you remember I told you about the girl who wants to do the storytelling, and she's cousin to Jackie Torrance. She was up here today, and I remember you mentioned that there were several things that she could probably already get involved in that are going on.
So can you mute that one, Devin?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Zoom
Oh,
changed. Okay, I think that.
Oh, the AI tool that I use to create the outline, the color purple, I just use ChatGPT. Oh, you answered that one.
We have one question about how would you mention these tools to first year students to use for their assignments? How do you get faculty to accept these tools as part of the norm? And I'm also just curious of like, how would you introduce this in like a one-shot instruction session?
Well, I've actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've changed the way I do certain one shots. But now I sort of kind of do 2 shots, 3 shots. So now I actually go into classes and I may give a general overview on conducting research in a particular area. And then we'll have a second time where I come into class to talk about cool tools that they can use. There are certain times if I have a limited time and I'm only going into a classroom once, that I'll talk about tools that are pertinent for that particular assignment that the students are going to be working on. I may give them like a top 2 or top 3. So like even in the class that I taught information literacy for engineering, the way that I structured the course was that students had an opportunity to learn about different tools every single class, but they also had the opportunity to deep dive on a particular tool because that was their major project, to identify a tool, give a 15-minute presentation to class on how to use it, and utilize the same 3 search strings everybody was using, give the pros and the cons, and then have a written assignment to deep dive in that particular tool as well. In terms of faculty adoption, you can't force anybody to do anything. But here's the one thing I've learned. When I first got to Wake, one of the things that I did is meet with each of the engineering faculty and ask them, what are your research interests and how do you do research? And that helped me to understand, that individual's comfort level with technology. But now I'm integrated into all of the engineering freshman level classes and even one of the key software level classes, as well as the capstone. And we're trying to look to see, do we want to have information literacy for engineering as a course, a co-requisite to the first senior capstone course, or is it going to be a matter of me developing, short modules that people can integrate into their Canvas course as needed? But really, it's just a matter of talking and getting to know each of the professors. Like there's certain professors that are on it when it comes to technology. Like one of the physics faculty members that I work with, I'll just send Freddie, hey, have you played with this tool? How do you think it could? He loves Perplexity.ai for his research, for his research area interest out of everything. Although he has gone to the paid version of ChatGPT and he's playing with that as well. But I know I can send stuff to Freddie and say, hey, can you play with this and let me know how you want to use it? And like one of the graduate coordinators, instructors in physics, will always pull me in to talk to the graduate students on different tools they can utilize for their research. So it really depends on the comfort level of the instructor. And sometimes it's a matter of developing a relationship rapport with them to get them to realize this is how you can use the tools. So one of the things that I want to do, but just haven't had the time to do, is to do like a monthly newsletter and say, hey, these are some of the tools that I've been playing with. And this is where I think it would be appropriate to use for these purposes. Because I've noticed that when I've sent out emails to say, hey, we're doing this trial, this is pertinent for physics and for engineering, and these are the instances where you'd want to use it. There have been more people to try it versus me saying, hey, there's this new tool. So if you can help people understand why they would want to use it and how they can use it, not only in their course, but in their own research, that's what I think drives the interest level. But again, remember, a tenure track faculty member who's balancing their own research, their lab, their student researchers, classes, et cetera, et cetera. Because I had one instructor said to me when I did a one-shot, Denice, I'd really love to learn about all the tools that you just demoed, but I simply don't have the time. And that's where you say, okay, well, here's the top 2 I say you want to play with. And when you're done with those, come back to me and I'll give you 2 more. But yeah, it's just a matter of getting to know the individuals and what their needs are and making sure that you point them in the right direction of the tool that'll meet their needs.
We have a question coming in from Claire asking, do we need to be concerned about hallucinations? So in quotes, generating fake citations in these AI tools, as it's been an issue with ChatGPT.
that's where you want a tool that's going to take you back to the original source. So if the tool isn't taking you back to the original source when you're asking it questions, stick and move and find another tool. But that's how you get rid of those hallucinations. Is the tool itself is providing, these are the resources I got the information from.
And that
So
kind of goes back to your hammer analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use ChatGPT for research unless I have the paid. I haven't played with the paid version, and there's a like add-on with the paid version that's supposedly be good for research, but I haven't tried it, so I can't recommend it. So my bottom line rule of thumb is if you're using it for research purposes, it should give you the resources that it used to come with the answer so you can trace back to them. So like Google Bard does that, Perplexity, Scite. I haven't played with ChatSonic for research yet, but yeah.
Andrea is asking also, did these AI tools offer filters, filter by date, like Research Rabbit here?
Yeah, some do. Yeah, because like filter, but because with Site Assistant, I know you can set it up, you can filter or set up how the assistant is actually running to filter by date. If you're using Cite just for like the citation statements or papers, you can actually filter by date. Did I go off of that one? Yeah, I did. So like for Cite, let me go back just to Cite. Use my go-to information literacy for engineering. You can filter by author, year, sections, type, citations, journal, affiliation, pub type, topics, editorial notice, mesh subject terms, and even more. Yeah, by year. So there's a Cite is probably out of all the tools I demoed that has the most ability in terms of filtering. Yeah.
We have a question. You focused a lot on STEM AI tools. Are there any you would recommend for the humanities?
Most of the tools that I recommend, they're not only good for STEM, but they're also good for humanities. It's just that they're more accurate for STEM. They're not STEM specific. So like if you look at, like for instance, Research Rabbit, and you look at the topics of the collections, it covers reading a scientific paper, dialectophoresis, diversity recruitment techniques, deities of Pala, ungrading practices, K through 12, mentoring for BIPOC librarians, vaccines for the elderly, partnership between libraries and student services. There was even one I know that I did early on with one student that was looking at Black maternal health care disparities. So, yeah.
Folks, we're at 3 o'clock, so we'll probably wrap up in a little bit and answer maybe 1 or 2 more questions. But just a reminder, I will send out a follow-up email with a survey as well as the slides and the recording. We have a webinar in the series, the second part of the 3-part series coming up in December. And then the third webinar will be in January. So take a look at our training calendar if you want to attend those, and Denice will be leading those as well.
And then if you have any questions that weren't answered, just shoot me an email. Yeah, and I'll be more than willing to answer those questions. Y'all are totally welcome. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Denise. Folks, I'll also include the slides with Denise's contact info. So if you want to reach out to her individually with questions, feel free. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good rest of your Tuesday.
Bye, all.